Interstellar. In recent times, most of us enjoyed this scientific treat, but only a very few can get deeply connected with those equations of Interstellar. He was one such young intellect of our great nation. Generally, the social views of some people are always very sharp and they don't believe in the rhetoric leaders who make false promises. They never agree with the fact that the religious fundamentalism can give better environment in the Indian universities. He was one such guy and he was an Ambedkarite. He rejects the Hindutva of fundamentalism and its forces in his university campus. On recent times, most of us informed that no leader done nothing to India for past 6 decades. But then why did this poor intellect follow Ambedkar? Why did he give his last verse as Jai Bhim? Because he is not likely to be one among us. Who don't even have a slightest idea about the history, about our great Indian history. This is not our fault. We are facing multiple problems. One because of our huge demographic, and second is lack of employment, and the third, the opportunistic politicians who plays anarchism and rhetoric in a very successful way and foolish all around of us. What he did after all, he just expressed his basic rights, isn't it? For that, his stipend was stopped and closed down for 6 months. For 6 full months, he was financially tortured and finally crushed. At last, our nation lost this fine intellect. 3 months before, we have clear indication for these kind of events in our universities. But no one recognized those things at that time. Can't we able to remember the nationwide protest of the writers and the intellectuals? Many of them returned their national awards with saying this government's intolerance towards rationality. At that time, this was diluted by the Bollywood actors and they met the Prime Minister and favored that they are with them and the government is very tolerant. Aftermath, many intellectuals openly viewed that the idea of India was in danger. Historian and a thinker Ramachandra Guha notes that this was the most anti-intellectual government we ever had. Some people note that the idea of India was danger, no? So what is that idea? So that was the idea which blends with the views of Ambedkar, the idea which constructed on the achievements of Nehru, the idea made by the sacrifice of Mahatma, and the idea which took command by the courage of Indra. Now why this idea was in danger? A set of group which influencing the ruling power, the current ruling power, wants to defame these leaders and their ideas are attempted to deconstruct. One of its tentacles made such attempt in this university and that alarmed intellectuals of the same university and this young intellect paid his life now. Look at his lines. Please serve 10 mg of sodium aside to all Dalit students at the time of admission. I always want to be a writer of science like Carl Sagan. Rohith, we pledged before your historic letter. The letter which reflects the emotional challenges of Indian youth. The letter which questions the so-called growth model. We will preserve the idea of India by gaining more knowledge. A knowledge which bridge our challenges and opportunities. A knowledge of change. Shiva, Research Scholar, University of Madras.